Hey my little panda cubs, Happy New Year! Yay! Obligatory fireworks. Gender affirming care. What is it and how do cis people benefit from it? Cis people benefit from gender affirming care every day. Any cis person watching this has probably had some form of gender affirming care in their life. But when a trans person wants to access the same level of standard, what cis people call standard care, suddenly it becomes specialised care. Suddenly we need to jump through hoops. Suddenly we're hated for it. Suddenly cis people are against it. If a trans person wants gender affirming care, all the bigots get angry about it. And then they'll go have their gender affirming care themselves. But they don't have a problem with that. It's complete hypocrisy. So let's take a look, shall we? Therapy. A very basic level of gender affirming care that cis people get but want to deny trans people. Now the therapy could be a range of things. It could be speech therapy, which is what I'm currently attempting to access, but again, I'm getting blocked and jumping through hoops. But say a cis female with a voice that's too deep, she's allowed to access gender affirming voice therapy to make her voice more feminine, to match how she perceives herself and to be more comfortable in her gender. Same with males. If they feel their voice is too high or they sound too feminine and want to sound more deep and masculine, they're allowed to access speech therapy to affirm their gender. Or it could be a form of counselling. For example, a guy is insecure in his masculinity and wants to affirm his masculinity and learn how to be more masculine. Cis people go to therapy for that things. The same with women who want to be more feminine and feel more comfortable in their feminine body and how they perceive themselves. They can get therapy to help them with their insecurities about their lack of femininity. But if a trans person wants access to the same level of healthcare, suddenly it's hate and bigotry. Hypocrisy. Hair transplants. Men who are balding and start to feel insecure about their masculinity, just like the therapy. Well, they can go have a hair transplant, which makes them feel more comfortable in their body as a man. That's gender affirming care. This is what we mean by gender affirming care. But as soon as a trans person wants it, suddenly gender affirming care is wrong. Women who have hair thinning and alopecia, they could have hair transplant or use minoxidil. This is another form of gender affirming care that cis women get, that cis people get every day. Breast enlargement, or breast reduction. Males, for example, who suffer from gynecomastia, they may have breast reduction. They feel their chest isn't masculine enough. They feel they have a feminine feature on their chest. They've got gynecomastia means, they're growing breasts, which they perceive as female tissue. So they'll have breast reduction to affirm their gender, to feel more comfortable as their lived gender. That's gender affirming care. Same for cis women who get breast enlargement. It makes them feel more feminine, more womanly. That's gender affirming care. But as soon as a trans person wants it, suddenly it becomes a problem. Suddenly that's wrong. HRT, or for males, TRT. Women whose estrogen is too low or going through menopause, they're allowed to just simply access HRT. They can just go to their GP and get onto HRT because it makes them feel better. It makes them feel more feminine. The HRT helps them to be more comfortable as their lived gender. It does. It makes you feel better. I've been on estrogen for a while and it just makes you feel whole. It makes you feel better. That's gender affirming care. Same with males, as their testosterone falls as they get older. You know, they can go to the doctor and get TRT. Cosmetic surgery. We've touched on breast enlargement and breast reduction, but things like rhinoplasty, right? Some cis women get surgeries done down there to tidy their thingy up, or to tighten their thingy, because it makes them feel more feminine and more womanly. It makes them feel more comfortable in their body. Same with men, penis enlargement. They're okay with that. There's no problem with that. But as soon as a trans person wants it, no, suddenly gender affirming care is bad. It could also be things like Viagra. Cis men who are a bit, you know, can't get it up, like most right-wing incels. They'll go on Viagra so they can get their little thingy up, feel a little more masculine, a little more manly for a night. That's gender affirming care, right? That's called gender affirming care, because it helps you to affirm your gender. That's what it means. Laser hair removal and waxing. These are forms of gender affirming care. Women with a PCOS, for example, you know, they'll get hairs on their face, or they'll wax their legs and their arms because it helps them feel more feminine. It affirms their gender. For men, it'll be growing a beard and having their beard groomed. That's gender affirming care. Women applying makeup to make themselves feel pretty, to make themselves feel more feminine. Gender affirming care. Cis people engage in gender affirmations every day, and they receive gender affirming care every day. So whenever you see a cis person saying they're against gender affirming care, or claim that gender affirming care is bad, you just remember that they're doing it themselves. That person has probably had multiple forms of gender affirming care in his or her life. What they mean is they're against the existence of trans people. They don't want trans people to have the same standard of healthcare as they do, because of their ignorance and their hate and their bigotry. So the next time you see a cis person say that gender affirming care should be banned, you remind them of all the gender affirming care that they themselves receive, and ask them if they think it should be banned for them too. Well, my lovelies, just a short one for now because it is New Year's. I was going to take a little break today, but I want to be consistent and I want to put content out there again. So I figured doing it on New Year's is a good start. I love you all so very much. Thank you for your support and love that you've given me this past year. Those of you who have stuck with me, quite possibly in the lowest point of my life. As you can see, I'm bouncing back, and hopefully, as you've seen from my videos since Christmas, you know, I'm going to work hard every day to get the algorithm to like me again and realign my channel and be your big sis again, your helpful, supportive big sis. Speaking of, if you're not already subscribed, please press that subscribe button, that like button, and the bell button. That'll help me out with the algorithm. And don't forget that I do have a Discord server, which I'm also going to work hard to re-alive. And I really am sorry that I've neglected you all this past year. I do regret that, and especially to my patrons. I don't know why some of you still support me, because I haven't deserved it this past year. I do promise I'll make sure I do deserve it in the coming year. Early access videos will restart again very soon. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take a week break, but I'm still going to be recording and editing videos all week, and then I'm going to put them up on my Patreon as early access. So, for example, on Wednesdays, I'm scheduled to do a trans video, right? So next Wednesday, a trans video will go up on my Patreon, and a week later, it'll go public on YouTube. So my patrons, you're going to get a week's early access. Please do check in on your more lonelier friends this new year. I know I always appreciate it when people just send me a DM and check on me. I'll be sure to check in on some of you. Make sure you're okay. We've got to look after each other, okay? Because if we don't, nobody else is. Now, go and enjoy yourself and don't get too drunk. Zippity!